So what was the name of your?
Are we live?
Me?
Let me just see. Jesse, can you hear us? Can you see us? Can you write? We're going to assume we're live. I think we are.
It says I see red, yeah.
All right. I'm so excited. All right. I'll be a little out of breath. YouTube. Thank you so much, Culture Eater, for coming. We're going to have an amazing live stream today. We just all finished WITS 2018, which is Women in Travel Summit. And I asked these wonderful ladies that are influencers of the travel world to join me and just chat and give you an idea of what it's like to be a travel influencer and have an autograph. So we can't see your comments because we're far away from the phone. We have a moderator. And if you have any questions, though, feel free to write them and we'll get back to them later. So I'm going to start off by just letting the ladies introduce themselves briefly. Come on in. We have a chair for you there. Sorry. So, how lucky are you? Hey, I'm the best YouTuber. I'm bringing you 7 beautiful, gorgeous, independent, powerful women. Just to let you know, if you've been on the last live streams, I'm doing it on my phone. I've had issues. If this live stream drops, we will restart a new one, so go back to my channel page and then just join it and we'll do part 1, part 2, whatever. All right, so let's start with you. Why don't you give us a quick little introduction?
All right, so I am Summer Slevin and I am a podcaster. I do Nat Park Stories. It's just starting out and it's just a girl, me, and her dog in a van going to all 60 national parks, making a podcast and just telling the stories of the national parks. So it's called Nat Park Stories, and it's a really exciting project.
Make sure that you speak loud enough just in case, since we're far from the phone. That's why I close the door.
I hope you caught all that.
I'm sure they did, just in case.
Good enough.
Get your Power Woman voice out.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm Jen. I started the Travel Women, and on YouTube, it's youtube.com/Jennifer O'Brien. I love creating travel videos, food, everything. Also 360. I just spoke about 360, and yeah, that's me.
That's you.
Alright, I'm Natasha Stoppel from Artist Explores the World, and my channel focuses specifically on art and travel in all forms. So I try to link those two together and provide a channel that has interesting and unique perspective on travel and the art world.
In case it's your first time here, I'll introduce myself too. So I am Evelyn from CulturEatz. You're on my channel right now. And I have a blog about food from around the world. I try to cover every country, eventually, unusual ingredients. And I also have a YouTube channel with travel, recipes, Montreal, tasting weird snacks from around the world.
Hi, I'm Kim. I am the Abundant Traveler, and my YouTube channel is The Abundant Traveler. And the goal is a little bit about experiential travel, food, wine. I spent a long time in the wine business, so I have that experience. I'm a big Francophile, and girlfriend getaways with wine.
Hi, I'm Alicia, and I'm from justadventures.ca, Canadian, on the west coast of Canada in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia. And I write, I don't have a YouTube channel yet, I'm working my way up there, but I write mainly for solo women travelers 45 plus. And JUST stands for Journey Uniquely Through Solo Travel, and I go to some amazing places in the world that maybe people haven't heard of, like Vanuatu.
Never heard of it. We'll get
Beautiful. So check out my blogs.
Hi there, I'm Alex. I'm with Travel Fashion Girl, where we teach women how to travel carry-on only for any destination in the world. We actually just launched a new travel product line called Compass Rose Travel Accessories, which will help you pack lighter and more efficiently. So thank you so much for having me here. I'm so happy to be here.
I don't have everybody yet, but I have most of the links down below where you can reach everybody that is here, and I'll update the ones that I'm missing, hopefully right after. So, I don't know where, don't all talk at the same time. But did you enjoy the conference?
Yes. It was wonderful.
Yeah. Who was here for their first time? So, quite a second time?
Yes.
Third
time.
Did we cover everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, so we have an idea, I mean, we're all experts, but how long have you been doing what you're doing? Anybody doing what they're doing in the travel industry for less than 1 year? 1 to 3 years? and 5 to 10, and 10 up. So, what would you say is the biggest takeaway that you've had of the weekend right now?
I met like a lot of really great friends. Like I was saying, like these are all business cards of people.
Those
I
are
met,
all
like,
her business
a
cards.
ton of them. But like I didn't like come here to just network. Like I hate the term networking. It's like the worst term. Like because I don't want to like just like use people. Like I think that's the worst. Like I exchange my business cards. But I want to be like, let's connect later because you've inspired me. And I've been inspired by like a ton of people. And I, like my intention was like, I mean, my life purpose is to love and inspire others and to be loved and inspired. And so when I go into conferences, it's basically that. Like I want to be loved and inspired. And it doesn't matter where I go, that's my like purpose. And this was like such a loving and inspiring environment. I'm just so blown away.
So the question is, what did I learn from?
What's the biggest takeaway that you've had from the weekend? Like instantly.
The biggest takeaway. I should have prepared it while you were saying it.
Well, listen, it's good.
I'll give you a little break.
Okay,
go ahead.
For me, it was a very unique experience because it was my first time really speaking at WITS and having the opportunity to speak at my own specific session, so I loved that. I was like super nervous at first, and I was like, last night in my dreams I was going over my presentation and I was just like, okay, I think it's going on in my dream, like now I have to wake up and actually do it. And I'm so glad to say that it went well. I think it went well. And I learned so much about speaking through this process and about, you know, conferences, and especially at WITS, I was talking to a friend, it's like one of the best conferences to start speaking at because I feel like everyone was so friendly, so open, so, you know.
No judge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to learn, and I'm always about teaching and learning from others and working together, and no one was judgmental, like, I'm going to quiz you on all these questions, or, you know, like,
Just
you know,
more stuff.
yeah, like, it was just, yeah, it's like, some people at some conferences, they're like, I'm going to ask the really hard questions that, like, no one knows.
Or that only I know.
Yeah, exactly. No,
Yeah.
it was like everyone wanted to learn, everyone wanted to collaborate and to work together, and that is what makes me happy.
So I'm gonna have to share 2 key takeaways, not just one.
Go for it.
The first is your presentation was awesome, and that key takeaway is that I'm gonna buy a 360 camera and start so that is one of the big takeaways I'm taking away. I'm definitely gonna be investing in that. The second thing, kind of incorporating with that, the vibe that these festivals or this conference in particular really brings. I love the She's Wonderful brand. I think they're fantastic, and I always walk away feeling great. And so the other key takeaway that I want to share is from the conversation that just happened too, is that I am strong and powerful, woman, hear me roar kind of attitude, but also you don't have to apologize. And that was an amazing takeaway, which, you know, that's a long thing to explain, but that was my takeaway.
Well, I'll just talk about that. The closing keynote was about the Me Too hashtag that went around a lot lately. So we had an awesome conference where we discussed the issues of sexual assault and harassment. That was my French Canadian. Sexual assault and I can't say
Harassment.
it. Thank you.
It's actually harassment.
It is?
Really?
Oh,
Yeah, they
okay.
changed it.
Oh, well, I was right then, my French accent. I'm going to do it again. Sexual assault and harassment within women that are traveling, whether solo or not. So it was really, really interesting to have people really open up to us, very personal things, and to give us great advice for anything that's happened in our lives, whether we were traveling or not traveling at all. By the way, I'm so happy. I wish I could see the chats coming in. I'm seeing a lot of chats coming in, so just keep writing to us. We will get back to it later in the next 24 hours or something like that. So my takeaway, I mean, obviously I have a lot to take away from the conference, but my take is a little different because this is my home province. I'm from Montreal, we're in Quebec City, and it's been, I mean, I've been here many times, but I've never been here for so many days. And it was really interesting, well, it still is interesting to live it through your eyes, which was really, really fun to see and made me see a lot of things that I hadn't noticed before. And my second takeaway also is The only other conferences I've been to were Canadian conferences, so getting a more international dynamic from it was really interesting. Also like racial dynamics that I had never come across before, age dynamics, even body size dynamics that I had never experienced before. So that was really, really interesting and really opened my mind on some things.
So I have two takeaways, very similar. Number one, I found some great equipment to bring better content on my YouTube channel, including I cannot wait to go home and buy that 360 camera. And the second thing is the support and collaboration with several hundred women in the room, and everyone was an open book to share, to guide, to give inspiration, to give ideas. It didn't matter if you are a blog or a vlog or a writer that has been doing this for 1 week or 25 years. Everybody supported everybody else. Everybody gave suggestions, and it was such a collaborative, supportive environment that was second to none. It's a great conference.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm going on a theme. I've got two takeaways.
You guys have to come up with one.
The most important thing to me, so I'm an older woman, proud of it, and I write for older women because that's my niche. The one takeaway that I took, which resonated the strongest for me, collaborate, don't compete.
Yes.
We are always, whether we're in jobs or anything else like that, you know, you're gonna be better than the other one, you're gonna be doing this, you're gonna be doing that, you're gonna be doing, no, what if what I do is something that you need? Why don't we collaborate and work together so that both of us will grow as women, first of all, and as bloggers, vloggers, however you want to do it. Collaborate, don't compete. Take away all of that collaboration, right? The second thing is the amazing energy, and I wrote on the internal Trav Trade, which was the networking center. I felt it all the way from the West Coast 3 weeks ago when we had the Trav Trade, when I started making connections. I've never met these people. Beth Santos is the founder of Wonderful. I have worked with her for 2 years. Sight unseen, I came out here, she spied me across the connection that you have with women, sight unseen. They take you at who you are, they no judging, whatever. They take what you bring to them and what you can take away from them, so it's amazing. I have a pile like that in my index cards. All sorted out, so ready to go. Amazing weekend for the first time where it's like, when's the next one?
Yes.
I bought my ticket already.
I heard you bought
Next one's in Portland.
I know. Not Portland, Oregon, but Portland, Maine. Amazing.
I have to say, I'm also going to share a common theme. Only one takeaway though, and it really is the community, the connection, the collaboration. WITS Women in Travel Summit for me is everything that every single conference really should be. It's the energy between the attendees, the willingness to share and be open, respect, not judge each other, really uplift one another, and that's ultimately really important, is to support one another, because really that's how.
All right.
Hopefully
we're still on the same live stream. If not, well, you can't see this. But
Well, there's a bunch of comments. So.
Yeah, they were there before. Jesse, if you're there, anybody?
I'm like obsessive now.
Okay.
I think what we were doing is so like amazing. I'm like, I want to tell everybody about the national park.
You are on the same link. Okay, hopefully, we think we're having a bit of a Wi-Fi issue, so
We should connect.
I'm going to try to go on the data plan while we're still talking. I know that's not going to happen.
It's all about the energy, the collaboration, supporting one another, and that's what keeps bringing me back to WITS. My first time as a sponsor. I'm a blogger, but it's my first time coming in as a sponsor, my first time sponsoring anything, and the support from the attendees, from the WITS team, from other bloggers being open, listening, just I don't know. It's just left me stunned and grateful, and I'm like, oh my god. But no, I'm like, oh, it was amazing. So yeah, I can't also like ready to lock down my contract for WITS for next year. And also to attend as well. So it's gonna be
Well, I mean, we're gonna keep talking about it. I'm gonna say it again later, but it's just, I'm so happy that all you guys agreed, you gals, you women, you ladies, you know what I mean, that you all agreed to come here, because I was like originally going, well, I don't know if anybody will be interested in doing this,
You could have
like,
probably
live
got
stream.
everybody.
I know, but I was already thinking like 3 or 4 people is gonna be plenty. And we're 7, and I mean, it's just awesome. And that's like, you know, as a YouTuber, you're always trying to do collaborations. It's not always easy because people are in other parts of the world, or even in your city, getting in on the agenda can be really difficult. So having like a collaboration of 7 women all at the same time in the same room is just amazing, and I'm like really touched. And speaking of collaboration, like we had decoration issue, you should have seen it. Then we had an ugly white table. You have no idea how fast stars came, plants, cards, cameras. So that's really like helping each other out big time.
Can I also say that we didn't plan our outfits? There's
I
like
know.
no
Perfectly made, like cool tones, like
I noticed that as well when we
never
were
even
talking.
wear
It's so perfect. It's crazy.
And if
We
you look
plan
at
every
I
single
know.
There's the fashion.
Okay, so
there.
I have another set of questions for you that will go briefly around. I want to know how old you were when you had your first trip without family, and what's the most exotic destination that you've been to?
Okay, well, I actually road tripped to my mom in Alabama, and that was supposed to be with a boyfriend that I was dating at the time, and that was when I was 17 or 18, I believe, and he like dropped out last minute, and I was like, oh, this is the worst thing that could ever happen, and I had to drive all the way from Illinois to Alabama by myself, and I had a terrible time at first, and I was crying, you know, and it was like this whole thing, and then it made me obsessed with road trips, and now I literally live in my van, like we're at that level right now, and so like, yeah, I think that it's like great to solo travel. Obviously you learn so much about yourself, but you also step out of your comfort zone, and you're like, if I want to talk to somebody, I have to talk to a stranger, like that's what I have to do, and you meet incredible people, so that's what happened. And the most exotic place I've been to, I would say Ghana, West Africa, which was my first international trip. And I always wanted to go to Africa since I was like a kid. I was like, white people don't have enough culture. Like, I want to be in Africa and have so much culture and beautiful things. And like, I always loved it. And when I went, I was like, I loved it. I loved it. Every day I woke up and my alarm said, "You're in freaking Africa." Like 3 weeks flew by. I mean, it was incredible. It was really cool.
So my first trip abroad was study abroad, 18, going to live in Italy with a bunch of new people, but it was so awesome. While I was there, every single weekend, I used that to escape to new countries. Everything is so much cheaper in Europe, so that was easy and amazing. And then exotic. So like define exotic, because like
To you.
it could be so many
Exotic
different
to you.
Maybe Morocco. I loved Morocco. And the colors and the people and the culture and the food, everything I love. Yeah, I need to go back as soon as
It's
possible.
on my bucket list, so if you need
So good.
We've already got plans.
I'm always down. Always on the travel.
So while we're answering, why don't you write down in the chat box what's the most exotic destination that you've been to as well, and we'll look at those after. So Natasha.
Sure. So my first trip without my family was actually a trip to Jamaica, and this is a funny story because my parents are extremely overprotective. They love me. I'm their only child baby, and they would have never let me go to Jamaica, or at least I thought they never would have let me. But my boyfriend at the time, he had family in Jamaica, and he said, "I want to take you to Jamaica," and my dad said, "Absolutely not." And I said, "Okay, well, in 1 year, in 1 year, can I go next year?" And my dad said yes, and I said, "Okay, I don't believe you, so let's write a contract." So I typed out a contract, and I said, "If I'm still dating this boyfriend 1 year from now, can I go to Jamaica?" And he said yes, and he signed the contract, completely believing that me and my boyfriend would break up in the 1 year period. We did not. So my first trip was to Jamaica, which was fantastic. The most,
Yeah, that was the obvious follow-up question is.
I need to know.
we actually broke up right after. since I was little, I really wanted to learn about the nomadic Kazakh eagle hunters. And I did. I went and I stayed solo, and I stayed with a family, and I got that experience in a gear and lived without running water or electricity for like a week and a half, and it was probably the most amazing experience of my life. It was incredible.
That's awesome.
So great.
Yeah.
I hope that you guys are writing in the chat what your most exotic destination has been, and why don't you also tell us where you do want to go? That'd be fun to hear. Jesse, can you just maybe write a comment once a minute or so I can just see it, that to make sure that we know we're still happening and people are writing. Thank you. Okay, so for me, well, my first plane trip, I'm going to say alone, I was 11. I have family in Austria, and after my parents gave me about 6 months to decide if I wanted to go stay with my uncle and my aunt who barely speak English, and I don't speak German, if I wanted to go, and I decided I did, thank you. And yeah, I decided to do it. So I was an unaccompanied minor at the age of 11, but I was 11 and I passed for 18 already. I was really tall. And I changed planes in Zurich, and I remember that the airline employee responsible of me put me in a room, and she said, you can walk around just like not too far a little bit, because it was a long wait, and I went walking, and I was buying myself a sandwich, a deli sandwich, having it ordered and everything, and I remember seeing her freaking out looking for me, and I'm like, what's the big deal? I'm just getting a sandwich. So, but my first trip all by myself alone was at 22. I went backpacking for 2 months across Europe. And back then, Europe backpacking was the woo exotic thing. Like, people were not going to Asia yet. No. And my most exotic trip would be the last big one I had was to China. Was never on my radar to go on a vacation to China necessarily. I thought the other Asian countries sounded more interesting, but I found a $500 ticket. So I just decided to go for it and ended up going by myself, and I can't stop talking about China for the last year and a half.
I just have a little caveat there, like
Yeah.
little side note. So you passed for 18 when you were 11.
Yeah.
The first night, like that we did the social, she handed me my drinking tickets, and she's like, "Wait, are you old enough to drink?" And I am like, "Yes, I am far old enough to drink. I'm 25, going to be 26." And she's like, "Oh, the drinking age is 18." And I was like, "What? You thought I was under 18?"
Welcome to Canada. Welcome back.
Yeah. So, I still don't pass for 18.
You'll be happy about it later.
I'm happy about it.
And you, Kim?
My first overseas trip was when I was 15. I went to the UK for a month in the middle of the summer with some girls from high school. My parents said that I came back a completely different person. They didn't know who came home, which led to graduating from college with a degree in finance from the number 6 business school in the country. I went home at Christmas. I said, guess what, Mom and Dad? I have $300 and a one-way plane ticket. I'm moving to Europe.
Wow! Wow!
Awesome.
I was going to be gone just a mere 6 months, just 6 months. I was gone 5 years.
Whoa! Wow!
I ended up being a certified Austrian ski instructor.
Oh.
So I cannot teach in the U.S., but I was a ski instructor. My German at one point was quite good.
Oh, really?
Austrian dialect German.
Yes.
It's a little rusty now. But that was a great experience, and of course living overseas for 5 years and being able to fly in and out of London. It's so easy, so inexpensive, every destination in the world. It gave me the opportunity to really, really travel in my off season. Plus I was only working about 5 months a year, which
That's awesome.
the most exotic, it's maybe not the most exotic destination, but the way I did it, I did an overland trip to East Africa. I did a month in a truck where you cook your own food, you clean your own truck, you clean your own tent. There were 8 of us, and we went through Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. And I must say, I didn't see hot water for 30 days. I didn't see a restaurant for 30 days. I didn't see air conditioning. I didn't see anything. It was the most amazing experience. But I'm not gonna do it like that.
I was just about to ask.
Yeah. I'm a little older now.
A little wiser.
I'm a little wiser. I have a better paycheck. Now I'm up for glamping.
I don't have any of those things. I'm gonna sign up for that trip.
I'll tell you who I went with.
I just want to say that like the people that you meet here are the most interesting people I've ever met in my life. I'm like,
So my first trip solo, well, I won't say solo, so I'll go back. My first international trip was at 3.5. I went from Vancouver to Poland with my mom to visit my grandparents. Fortunately, I visited them a year before they passed. They both passed a year after I visited. That was my first trip internationally at 3.5. My first solo trip was actually backpacking. Not in Europe. I backpacked in my home province of British Columbia. I went by ferry, by bus, walking, driving, all the way along the Inside Passage, all the way up to Juneau, Alaska.
Wow.
16 years old.
Wow.
Impressive.
And that changed me. I thought, I'm not going to stop. My dad was a world traveler. I'm not going to stop. I haven't stopped traveling. As I mentioned in our introduction, the most exotic place I have been to is Vanuatu. Look it up. See if you can find it. And I actually stood on the edge of an erupting volcano.
Wow.
how do you spell that?
I feel like
Vanuatu?
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Vanautu.
Where
Okay.
is it? Tell us.
It is in the South Pacific.
Pacific.
No,
Oh.
it's not. It is in the South Pacific. It is close to Pentecost Island. It is close to Fiji. So look it up and let's see if you can find it by the time this podcast.
Let us know, write in the chat if you know where it is and write the answer and we'll see if you're right.
Yeah.
Google knows everything, doesn't it?
I traveled solo for the first time when I was 19. It was for business. It was a very short trip. It was actually just going for the day up to San Francisco. I'm from Los Angeles. And I had to go, and I was a sales rep for a lingerie line, and I was working in the fashion industry, and I had to go and show the brand new collection in San Francisco to a bunch of stores. I arrived at 6:30 in the morning wearing a small cardigan and heels, and didn't realize that the weather in San Francisco wasn't the same as Los Angeles.
And it's hilly. And it's hilly.
And it's hilly. And I mean, everything from the first flight, just flying by myself and wondering why my ears were in so much pain, to just showing up to a city that I hadn't really been to before as an adult by myself, unprepared, freezing cold, and then encountering right away the kindness of strangers. And I think is one of the experiences really that is always one of the best experiences traveling, is whether you're meeting your peers or whether you're meeting locals. And in San Francisco, the locals were really kind to me and pointing me in the direction of a coffee bean where I had hot chocolate at 6:30 in the morning.
As one does.
Yeah, as one does. So that was my small taste of solo travel for the first time. Then internationally, I then went and did a round the world trip in 2010, when I now will not tell you that age, because then I will age myself, since I've now given you the year. And the most exotic destination that I went to was actually India. That was in 2008. That was a big trip for me, and I wanted to go somewhere exotic. I wanted to go somewhere, and at that point, the countries that came to mind were Egypt, India, Thailand. I had recently quit my corporate job, and I wanted to go somewhere just so different from what I was used to in Los Angeles, and India definitely was that. And it was so inspiring in so many different ways. From the women that I met traveling, I went on a tour, because backpacking, I didn't know about backpacking solo at that point. And I was inspired by women on tour, and so inspired by the people I met and the locals I saw, that I actually decided to quit drop out of life, and continue traveling. And I traveled for almost a decade after that,
Wow.
full time. So that was an incredible exotic adventure that never
Wow,
always
it's
stopped.
amazing to hear where everybody's been. It's
These are the
just
most interesting
mind
people in
blowing.
the world.
So, since I do have a travel and food channel, I'm going to have a food question, and I want you all to answer as well in the chat box. And we're going to start again this way, it's just easier. I want to know what's the weirdest thing you ever ate on vacation?
I can answer that even on video.
I actually have a
While
video.
traveling on video, and it's on my channel. I ate reindeer recently in Helsinki, Finland, and it's very common there. I've also eaten whale. They have a lot of interesting delicacies, but I think the craziest part was that it was like roasted reindeer heart, and I was like, ugh. But I still tasted it, and it wasn't too bad. But the other,
It'd be chewy, wouldn't it? It's muscle.
it was weird. I wouldn't highly recommend it, but I also had bear while there, and that was actually much better than reindeer heart. But then they also had a reindeer steak, and that was, I think, my favorite. So all good things, Helsinki, I would recommend it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, interesting. I mean, I don't know. I always eat food that's offered to me. I don't always know what it is, which sounds like weird, right? But like at Airbnbs or whatever, like I don't like maybe take strangers' food because I don't know. But there was one time that stands out that came to mind right away. But I was on a business trip. I was an executive assistant, and we were in San Francisco, and my boss at the time was like, I don't know, order us some Chinese. I want some like General Toso chicken, right? And I was like, okay, like I'll just find the first Chinese place that pops up, and I go into Chinatown without realizing. And so everything is very, very authentic. And they didn't speak English at this one Chinese restaurant that I chose, and their menu was not in English. And I was like, they like maybe spoke broken English because I was like trying to still tell them what we wanted. General Toso chicken. Like I don't know how to say that at all. And we ended up getting like eel and herring. Like I had no idea that this was happening. Like, but I got back to the hotel and I'm like, I think that we have what we need. Didn't check. I was 20 at the time, and I literally I ate herring and eel, and I was not a fan actually. They didn't prepare it very well. It was like in a little it was gooey and weird. So that was interesting. Exotic. San Francisco.
I really don't like putting things that look or maybe weird in my mouth. It's not my thing. I'm very adventurous in many other ways. So I guess the weirdest thing, which isn't really that weird for a lot of cultures, but I did try lamb cheek in Mongolia.
What is that?
And
It's
like a
the
cheek of a lamb.
meat.
Yeah.
It's very tender.
It's
I
so
did
good.
not like
No.
it at all.
I recently got into chicken. I like it a lot.
really
No,
good.
if it's
Lamb
wild
cheek?
meat,
I am not.
you can do beef, veal.
Cod
Really?
cheeks.
Yeah, fish cheeks are huge.
Yes, they are. They're
huge.
so good too.
Yeah. Ooh.
I don't know anything. I don't know anything about anything.
You know other stuff that we don't know. And it's like,
That's it. So make sure to
weird.
let us know what's the weirdest
Exactly.
thing you've eaten on your trip, and I have three that come to mind. But the first one was in China. My very first meal, I was with a friend I had met online who was Chinese. He brought me for traditional Chinese breakfast. I didn't order it, he did, but he insisted. I tried everything, and it's the organ soup. So I had intestine and a lung.
Was it cleaned out?
It was cleaned out, but honestly, it didn't really taste like it was cleaned
Just
out.
thrown into a
The
bowl.
lung was okay, kind of like tongue texture a bit, if you've had tongue. But yeah, I did not like the intestine. One another that comes to mind was in Amsterdam, they do raw pickled herring sandwich, which was good, but odd. But I mean, maybe that's, hopefully I won't insult anybody in this one, but one of the worst meals I had recently though was at an Airbnb, an Airbnb, and breakfast was not included, but I was the only person staying that weekend there, and the host made me breakfast. Well, I didn't know he was making me breakfast. I walked into the kitchen, and I saw him frying up bologna slices, and I went, oh my god, that's so disgusting. Walked away, got ready, came back, and he's like, I made you breakfast. with eggs and a fried bologna sandwich and everything. And he went away from the kitchen for a little while, and I took half of it and threw it at the bottom of the garbage.
Oh.
I just couldn't do it.
Saved his feelings.
Yeah, that's it.
So I can think of two things. The first was not in an exotic location. It was brains and eggs for breakfast, and it was at my grandfather's house.
Nice.
When I was little, cow brains. My grandfather had it almost every morning, and it really does taste like ground beef mixed in with eggs, even though it's cow brains.
Sweet
It-
bread.
I love sweetbreads. Whew, I love sweetbreads. So I guess I started early on the exotic foods. Being a Francophile in wine, I have to be a Francophile in food, which leads to also very eclectic things. Not scorpions that you find in Thailand, but I did have once, just because I had to do it, I did have tete vo. Okay, I couldn't even eat it because it was a sheep with his eyeballs, his skull, his eyeballs, his tongue, his cheeks, served to me on this beautiful platter with a garnish of parsley. Yeah,
It's too hard.
I ordered it, but I just couldn't eat it. So yeah, tete vo. I don't recommend it.
And that's when she became a vegetarian.
My first experience in exotic food, again, comes from a relative. In Polish cuisine, which is my background, we have this thing called tripe soup. Amazing. And I loved it. My mom used to cook it all the time until I found out what it was. I don't mind. I brought it home and I cook it for my children, but when you say you've eaten tripe soup, which is intestines, people just go, are you flipping kidding? I said, no, if you boil it for 3 days, it's very tender and it's very good. Lots of paprika and lots of majra. It's a delicious soup. But the thing that I tried was I went to Southeast Asia, I just came back about 3 weeks ago from Southeast Asia. I was in Laos, wonderful country, and their national food that they're proud of is water buffalo. They only raise water buffalo for work in the fields, but they also raise water buffalo for killing and for food. The most amazing taste in this meat. It was so good. I had water buffalo sausage, I had water buffalo steak, I had ground water buffalo, and every single one of them tasted differently. Not spicy, delicious. Does not taste like ground beef. It's got its own unique venison-y type of flavor. It was so delicious. I didn't try the scorpions. We stopped somewhere, and it was called the Bug City, and it was not only scorpions. Deep-fried tarantula, deep-fried scorpions, crickets, lava thing. I just went like,
crickets.
I had grasshopper. It was good.
Yeah, I would try like.
No,
You can't tell what it is.
but literally the tour guide that I was on, he was a local tour guide, Cambodian, and he bit into it, and some of our tour group was like, the hands you could see when I was videotaping, took the leg and bite it, and just going, you could hear us going, oh no, somebody, no! But he was complaining to his wife. His wife said, whatever touches your lips, if it's anything foreign, crazy, I'm not kissing you. So I guess he didn't mind, but he was picking out like tarantula hairs. Wow. Disgusting. I would never in my life try it.
Never say never. You're a
No.
She's like,
I draw tarantulas. I don't want tarantulas. No.
I'm actually also not really adventurous with food.
That's great. A little bit of everything.
I've been to 47, 48 countries, but and I do try things, but I'm not very adventurous. But randomly, on Thursday night at the opening night party here, I had something that was absolutely amazing, and it was what I thought maybe was like a tuna tartare, or I don't know, just something wonderful. So we decided to have dinner at the restaurant. And I asked them for that lovely thing that they had served, and I asked, what was that? They said venison tartare, and I went, what? I mean, my husband eats venison, and I don't know, I'm just not used to it. This might be so lame for everybody, but I was shocked at what I ordered. But then I went and I proceeded to order it. I ordered it as and had it as a whole dinner because it was so good.
I agree. So that was my first time ever doing that. And
Yes.
I was like, what is this? But I'm gonna try it, and it was so amazing.
It
Yeah,
was
it was
amazing.
good.
It was amazing. And then
It was
that,
really
like,
good.
I also tried the bison steak. The bison. Somebody gave me a bite. So I felt so adventurous for day night in Quebec City, Canada.
And you're still alive. No
And
food
it was amazing. It was amazing. But I have had scorpion though.
Oh, you have, and what was
It was
that?
like potato chips.
Oh.
I didn't eat the
She's
body.
like,
Yeah, that's
oh
what I
yeah,
heard.
and Venice, well,
Not adventurous.
That was just one like super adventurous move.
Alright, so we're going on 45 minutes. Just so you know, we're gonna maybe aim for about 1 hour. I know it goes by so fast. If you need to go ahead. Yeah. So we'll just go through 2 more questions. Okay, so my first question, we'll do like 1 round. My first question is what?
We're gonna say bye.
Okay.
oh, seriously.
So my first question now is no financial issue, nothing stopping you. Where would you go if you could anywhere tomorrow?
That is the
Yeah.
hardest question.
I know.
I'm gonna give you like the worst answer ever because I would literally just go everywhere. Like if I had the ability to do it, like I mean I'm literally living in my van to have the capability to travel all over the United States. Like if I had unlimited money supply, I would literally be like, I'm gonna spend a year in India, and then when I get bored of that, then I'm gonna go somewhere else. Like, but I don't know what my number 1 travel destination would be. I'm actually really bad at this. Like, I literally go somewhere because I'm like, this keeps coming up in conversation.
Yes.
I'm gonna go ahead and go to Australia last year. I was like, I found a little koala at a conference that said I heard Australia, and I was like, I should go to Australia. That sounds good. And then I was like, by the end of 2017, I'm gonna save enough money to go to Australia, and so I had from April to November to save, and I went because I found a koala.
Whatever inspires you.
Yeah, I don't have a dream destination. I'm like, I want to go everywhere. Like, talk to me.
Yeah, that's like an impossible question.
I know.
I guess
Let's just pick one.
if money was no issue, I would say that I would invest in a private jet and a private jet
Oh,
to
yeah.
like pilot, and then I would just go everywhere. I guess my top destination that I really want to go to next. Oh man, that is so hard.
Can you tell we're travelers?
Egypt. I would say Egypt. It's been on my bucket list for a really long time. And you know what? I feel like I have to see the pyramids,
It's
even though it's
calling you.
really cheesy.
it's
I
not.
just really want to do it.
Yeah.
So
It's a good time to go. The value of the currency.
I've heard,
It's a good time to
yeah,
go.
yeah, it's smart.
So again, make sure that you leave us in the comments or in the chat. Where would you go if money was not an issue and you can just leave tomorrow? So yeah, it's really, I know. Okay.
Inspiration.
I totally don't know why I didn't immediately think of this. I would do the like $20,000 cruise to Antarctica.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
those things look amazing.
Yeah, that was
And I would probably never have enough money to do that, but I would
they're
love to.
amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
Picking a destination, yeah. Like since I'm on YouTube and doing a lot of travel stuff and connecting with a lot of travel YouTubers, my bucket list has grown like ridiculously. I would love to go. I have some ancestry in Russia, but I don't have a lot of what's the genealogy information. I don't know if I could even get it because the family was involved in the revolution, like captured. So I don't know if I could get information,
Check
but
the churches. The
Yeah.
churches will always have
That's true.
information.
But I would love to go to Russia and look more into it. It's also, I like art, so going to the Hermitage in St. Petersburg is definitely one of my dreams. And I've heard so many things about Ljubljana. Can't even remember which country it's in.
Slovenia.
Slovenia. Like apparently it's just amazing, and I'd like to go to Africa too, and yeah, everywhere else. But I'll pick Russia first.
So for me, this is if money were no object. Okay, money is no object.
It has to be on planet Earth.
It's on. That's fine. I don't want to go to space. So if money were no object, I would rent a mega yacht.
That's mine. Who knew?
Well, you can go together.
In the Mediterranean for the entire summer season, and I would just go from port to port. I pay for everything. I pay for the wine, the food. Whoever shows up at port gets to come on the yacht with me. I did actually look this up once, just because if it's on your bucket list, you do have to quantify it and qualify it. The yacht that I found was $250,000 a week.
A week?
No big deal.
You did say money was no object.
No, I did.
That's a big
So,
yacht.
so I'd say 3 months at 250,000. But I have lots of friends that want to come. I mean, think of everybody we met at WITS.
Yes.
Right? I have a WITS conference on the
Yes. 3 days.
So that's if money were no object.
Yeah.
Sort of winning the lottery style travel.
And then some.
And then
Totally
some.
agree.
Let's go.
If money was no object, I'm similar. I would have my own yacht, and I would have him captain, and around the world in 180 days, place to go, and I would stop as long as I wanted, wherever I wanted. But I'm really curious about islands. Islands call to me. I think I was a Tahitian princess in my previous life.
Why not a queen?
Well, you gotta work your way up to a queen. So a princess in the previous life can be a queen in this life. Tahiti has a special significance to me. I've been there several times. So doing French Polynesia, but any of the islands, the islands that were destroyed when that huge tsunami worked through, the Seychelles Islands are glorious. The Maldives are glorious. Mauritius, places like Zanzibar, it's like, oh, Zanzibar. So exotic islands that are difficult to get to, money has to be no object if you want to visit those places. So I would start with the Maldives, the Seychelles, Mauritius, in that part of the world, and then whatever island happened to be in between, that's uninhabited, I'm plunking myself down there for a day or two just to kind of, so that would be
She's
mine.
obviously
So you
never
can
thought
come
about this.
3 months on bed with me.
Of
I'm going
course,
with you.
yeah. All right, that's a deal.
So she stole my dream.
She shared
No,
it.
no,
Shared
shared
it.
it.
No,
Build on it, build on it.
No, I'm just playing. I'm kind of obsessed with boats right now. It's a serious goal of mine. But if money was no object, then a mega yacht would be the boat that I would have. Definitely a mega yacht, a really pimped, black, sexy mega yacht. With tinted windows.
Have to be
Anyway,
tinted.
I probably would keep it in Southeast Asia area. I love that area, and it would have a super cool scuba diving system. So we would go scuba diving all over Southeast Asia in that part of the world, and of course, all expenses on me. Join the mega.
All right. Well, okay, we're gonna do the last question, and I'll start this way just to change things up. And yeah, make sure that if you have any questions for us, them in the chat. We can't see the chat right now, but we'll get to the answers in the 24 hours to come for sure. So my last question is, as very involved in the travel industry, as a travel influencer, if we have either it's a young woman or a young man, or any age, because not everybody's traveled solo in their lives, if you could give one piece of advice to somebody who's afraid of going to travel on their own, what would you give as an influencer an advice?
Me first.
Whoever is ready has an answer.
I have an answer, definitely. My answer is because I came across so much like fear. I just feel like maybe it's obvious to say that would be my advice, but like honestly, like just do it. Like I think that like
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, I know that's what I'm saying. It's probably obvious, right? But like I would say just do it. But also like my biggest piece of advice to my friends is talk to strangers. Like that's what I tell people all the time. Like it's the opposite of what your mom told you in life. Like stranger danger. Follow your gut. Follow your gut always, but talk to strangers, because like I have met, obviously incredible strangers, like you guys are not that strange, but but like traveling, you just have to step out of your comfort zone, like and not be afraid. Like I know that's a bunch of pieces of advice, but you get what I'm saying. Do it.
So yeah, that's my one piece of advice that I usually give out to people is saying like just do it. Just if you really want it, then go for it. And to add on to that, if you have a dream about traveling or building a travel brand or being an influencer, there's so many resources available to you, especially in this day and age. There's so many awesome resources. So do your research, work your ass off, and then you can do it. You can go out there and you can do it. So make your dreams a reality because you can.
I'm going to say, well, that's just my nature, and I am known for this, but a lot of people go on vacation without planning anything, and you have an isolated experience. You might not have the opportunity to really get to know the culture and the people. So I think it's very important to take the time to research where you're going and to really reach out and connect with local people to try to get a real experience. I'll just give a quick example, but yeah, again, China, because everything I talk about is China. But one of the Chinese girls I met ahead of time online, we had trouble matching up our schedules, but she was going to do a dance class that she does every week, which was traditional Peking opera dancing, and she invited me to go along because even in China, your first class is free. So she had given me directions in Chinese. I can't believe I even made it to the building. It was not in a tourist area at all. But I did make it, and I walked in, and all these Chinese ladies looked at me, and hold on, something's happening to the phone. I think it's probably dying. Oh no. Let's see what's happening. Facebook something closed. That's weird. Okay, I think we're still on. All right. The joys of live stream. Okay, so we are finishing up soon. Okay. So yeah, what was I saying? Yes, I went to this dance class. I walked into this class, and all these Chinese looked at me and like, why is there a white woman here? They looked at me in complete curiosity, but they giggled, and we had a great time. And yeah, so if you don't go out and make the effort to learn the culture and approach the people, you're missing out on unbelievable experiences.
Can I add to that real quick? So my weakness is not planning things, but I like talk to strangers and stuff. I would say that there's a really good middle ground. Like planning is great, but don't over plan. Like, don't pack your schedule. Like be flexible. And I think that's when you have the best trip. Is like when you're like still know where you're gonna stay that night. Yeah. But like you're also flexible to what you're gonna do that night.
Yeah. Like an outline.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Like
I said, my point is just educate yourself. Okay, we're still there. We're still there, hopefully. Okay, we're at the end, so hopefully it'll work out. All right, Kim?
So for me, the tip is if I've heard it once, I've heard it a million times, I cannot afford to go. That is ridiculous.
Yes. None of us are like wealthy.
That is... As I mentioned previously, I moved overseas with $300 to my name. It was in my pocket. I was working within 3 days. I did have a work visa. But I really feel that I cannot afford to go. It's just an excuse. It may be an excuse for fear. It may be an excuse for you haven't given yourself permission to go. But you can always afford to go. It just, it's what's your priority.
You can't afford not to go.
I agree with that. Well, all of us agree with that.
If that's something that's calling you, then absolutely.
For me, I just want to build on that is some people think, travel, distance, far ways, time zones. Quite often when I'm talking to women travelers, specifically older women travelers, oh my God, like I don't know if I can go. I said, you know what? Start small. Go outside of your city. Start small, day trip, whatever else. Fine with that? Okay, so cross into a different region of where you're living. I'm in the province of British Columbia. So go up north, go south, go southeast. And I said, okay, so you're comfortable with that? Try the States. We're pretty close partners with the States, relatively safe. When I say relatively safe. And again, research. I'm fine with spontaneity if you've done your research. Find about the culture, find about where you want to go, where you want to be. Reach out to people that have already been in there. Facebook is wonderful with groups of people that have been somewhere. Reach out to those people personally, ask them where you want to go. And then don't overplan. I always say, don't plan, outline. outline, and have a context of where you want to go, and don't feel stressed if you haven't hit every single thing that you wanted to go.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
My tip is actually that if you're afraid to travel alone, it's okay. I was there. I may traveled for many years now, but it wasn't always that way, and it's okay. And if you're scared to travel, then join a group. I actually started my travels by joining a tour group, and that helped me get my feet wet, and it helped me experience the world and start experiencing the world without actually feeling like I was alone, because I was with other travelers. And after doing that, I realized that the world wasn't as big of a scary place as it seemed. At that point, there was also not as many solo traveling resources, but the point is that, I call myself an equal opportunity traveler. So I'm not against touristy places. I'm not against tours. You can join a tour. Then eventually you can then go on your own if that feels comfortable for you. But there are always options, and you can always find a network of people like Wonderful, and meet and connect online or ask for tips, so that way it can help you get to your travel goals if your goal is to travel.
Yeah.
Great. Oh my God, ladies, thank you so much. This was amazing, like really amazing. So make sure to check everybody out. I'm going to have links to their platforms down below in the description. And yeah, just thank you so much. It's absolutely incredible. My heart feels so warm that all you're here. It's really great. I hope that you all enjoyed this very much. So please like this. I know this was a long live stream, but this is, I think, a really special and unusual YouTube piece. So make sure to share it and that everybody can see this. I think it can be very beneficial to anybody that wants to travel or penetrate the travel industry or influencer market. So thank you, everybody. Check them out.
Thanks, Evelyn.
Thank you. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments, or if you have specific questions for anyone here, you can reach them out on their platform. I'm sure they have a contact. Subscribe to everybody.
Give us a thumbs up.
Subscribe to everybody. Thank you, Jessie, for doing the moderation. You're awesome as always. And yeah, we'll see you soon with some new videos. And make sure to always eat and travel outside of your comfort zone. And I always finish my video with a kiss. So let's all blow a kiss. Mwah! Bye.
That was fun.
That was
Let me gather this hoard of cards. That was so great.
Are we off?
No, I don't know how to turn it off.